So let's look at race and unemployment. Okay, right now, and I should have got the California numbers. My aunt just told me it's at 12.2% is the new overall unemployment numbers in California. If we would look at those numbers, we'd see that Latinos are far higher than that black folks are far higher than that, and other folks of color. Nationwide, I think we're about 9%. White unemployment is about 8.9% nationwide. Latino unemployment nationwide is at 12.2%, and black unemployment is at 15.1%. Okay. Now these aren't numbers that we should just take. Things just happen. Okay. Nothing just happens. This is the outcome of a system of inequality. All right. That was designed as such to be unequal. Okay. And so when we looked at unemployment, we looked at poverty rates. Now the question is, what do we do? Where do we go? Okay, we're all at this conference for a reason. Okay, many are active here in the fight for social justice, and overall, we cannot afford to leave this situation up to the experts. Okay, that's not going to be enough. To solely leave this system will not be solved by leaving things up to the experts, the politicians. They're the ones who got us here. Okay, so now, how do we respond? How do we respond in a way that, again, gets at these core issues of power and inequality? Well, there's a few things, and these are just very superficial, but one, we need to counter all and every racist political movement and the rising tide of white racial resentment, wherever it is expressed. So if that's coming in your community or near your community, there needs to be counter demonstrations, much like Javier and his group did with the Minuteman Project. When the Minutemen showed up, they showed up. Okay, they shut down the Minutemen. Okay, I was at Jim Gilchrist's house with Javier years ago, right at the cusp of before your movement was blowing up. We were at his house, and he didn't like that. Okay, he thought twice about he thought we kind of broke the rules there, but hey, look, that's part of the community. All right. Also, we need to demand long-term solutions, real solutions that address the continued impoverishment of women. Okay, there's a lot of talk about women's rights and women's equality, and many people project it onto the other. Okay, a lot of the basis for a lot of our imperialist wars are we're here to liberate women. Okay, Muslim women. All right, but we know that women here aren't treated fairly. That women here, there's a wage gap, there's an educational gap, okay? So we need to also make connections with global projects of racism and oppression, namely war. And, I'm an educator, okay? And, education is a huge part of how I approach issues. And currently, I teach at Cal State. Currently, the CSU system, the community college system in California, the UC system, all the way down to high schools and elementary schools, all public education is under attack. All right, many of you know about this, but this has long-term consequences, not only for the economic health of California, but for the millions of students, okay, for the first-time college students who have gotten some education and some class mobility are being the first to be cut right now. Okay, so at Cal State Long Beach, where I teach, we're not allowing any transfer students in the spring. Okay, none. I came from community college. Okay, and many of my best and brightest students come from community college, and they are being targeted. So again, there's class ramifications for that. Which students are most likely to be in JC, and there's also racial implications as well. That working class students of color are being the most targeted in a lot of these budget cuts, okay? And so making connections there, and then looking at where else is money going to. As education is being cut, we're still employing prison guards, right? That industry is not being hampered. And at the same time, exponential funding is going to two unjust wars right now, okay? And people are talking about there's no more money. Well, there's no more money unless we reprioritize where our money is being spent, right? That requires action. And much of the left has gone to sleep after Obama was elected, okay? Not only is it time to wake up, But there hasn't been a time more than now, okay, that things weren't just bad under Bush, all right? We still have 2 wars. We still have, education being cut. We still have poverty rates exploding. We have the black middle class, the Latino middle class being eroded, the working class becoming poor, okay? This is the time. So no longer can we sit back and let experts and politicians make decisions for us. But I think listening to folks who are in community movements that are resisting, that are offering an alternative, is the start of the dialogue process. And it needs to start back up. Just as it blew up under Bush, it needs to blow up again. Thank you all.
I'm here to address the issue of immigration. And I want to thank the organizers for inviting me and making me a part of this conference and this effort to have a dialogue, to have a discussion. Immigration and the role of progressives. It's kind of a broad and historical topic. And in order to understand this, you have to delve into history, and more so the contemporary history of the immigrant rights movement, which begins in 1968, and it travels all the way to the present. And in the process, it gains victories, it gains a lot of experience, and it accumulates a lot of movement and organizers. It creates somewhat of a political class within Latinos and within other sectors of the immigrant rights movement, labor, church, clergy, and others. Let me say also that this immigration takes place today, and since I believe 1970, within the context of the development of capitalist globalization. And it has many angles. I'll just mention a few. The displacement of over 200 million workers and their families throughout the planet. And of course here in this continent, the sending countries are from south down south. Mexico, the largest one, historically the largest one. It fits in very properly with the history of the empire, the history of capitalism. And if you look at immigration in this context, you'll see it in the several stages of the development of the accumulation of wealth of this country. You see the arrival and the theft of the indigenous lands and the genocide and the massacre of the indigenous people. Then it travels to slavery, the indenture, and also the slavery of Africans. Then the war of Mexico and the theft of almost half of its territory, probably one of the richest, and let's say it almost completes, the cycle of creating the land, the U.S. and God bless America. And since then also you see immigration, the Irish, Germans and others, Chinese, Italians, and so forth. And you also see the ravaging wars of exploitation, of occupation, and the theft of other lands, and of course the natural resources.